Angels had children with humans. Their existence was so corrupt that God decided to drown the world. And it all begins with a single verse. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. If you read the Bible from cover to cover, this is the moment the story of humanity stops making sense. It's a short verse, almost a whisper, yet it opens an abyss of questions that have echoed for millennia. It says, "There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown." Giants. The original Hebrew word is Nephilim, and they weren't just tall. They were the result of a forbidden union, a mingling of two realities that should never have met: the sons of God and the daughters of men. Think about that. The Bible, the book that grounds the faith of billions, speaks of a hybrid race, beings who were not entirely human, beings whose existence seems to have been such a profound offense to the order of creation that the immediate consequence in the very next verses is the divine decision to wipe the world clean with a flood. The biblical narrative is clear. First, the union and the birth of the Nephilim. Immediately after, Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And then the judgment, the building of the ark, the end of the first world. The connection is undeniable and terrifying. What was so terrible about these beings? Who were the sons of God? Fallen angels? Tyrannical kings who proclaimed themselves gods? Or something else entirely? And the most unsettling question of all, if the flood was sent to destroy them, why does the text itself say they existed and also afterward? To understand the mystery of the Nephilim, we need to place ourselves in time. We are in the book of Genesis, the book of beginnings. Humanity is young. Adam and Eve have been cast out of Eden. Cain has killed Abel, and the generations have begun to spread across the earth. It's a pre-diluvian world, a world we no longer know. Chapter 6 of Genesis begins simply. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. So far, so normal. Humanity is fulfilling the command to grow and multiply. But the next verse changes everything. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Here lies the heart of the enigma. The Bible uses two very specific designations, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of God, and the Banot Ha-Adam, the daughters of men. It doesn't just say men and women. The author makes a clear distinction, suggesting these two groups are fundamentally different. The result are the Nephilim. The text describes them as Giborim, a Hebrew word meaning mighty ones or valiant ones, and also as men of renown or men of old. They were not ordinary people. They were a class of beings that left a mark so deep in human memory that their story was preserved. The immediate context is crucial. Right after the mention of the Nephilim, the narrative shifts its focus to Noah, and the way Noah is described is revealing. Genesis chapter 6, verse 9 says that Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. The word generations here could have a double meaning, not just morally upright in his time, but perhaps, as some suggest, genealogically pure. In a world where the very nature of humanity was being corrupted by this mysterious union, the purity of Noah's lineage might be the very reason he and his family were chosen to begin again. The world was drowning in violence and corruption, And at the center of this chaos were the Nephilim, the children of a union that crossed a sacred boundary.
The identity of the sons of God is the key that could unlock this entire mystery. Throughout history, three major interpretations have emerged, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. The first, and perhaps the oldest, is the angelic interpretation. It holds that the sons of God were angels, celestial beings who abandoned their dwelling place, took on physical form, and joined with human women. This view was common in Second Temple Judaism and among many of the early Christian church fathers. The primary evidence for it lies in the Old Testament itself. In the book of Job, the phrase "sons of God" is used twice to describe the angels who present themselves before the Lord in his heavenly court. If this interpretation is correct, the transgression was not merely moral, but cosmic. Angels crossing the barrier between heaven and earth, resulting in a hybrid and unnatural offspring. But this view faces a major theological hurdle. In Matthew 22:30, Jesus states that angels in heaven neither marry nor are given in marriage. How then could they have children? Proponents of the angelic view argue that Jesus was speaking of angels in heaven, not of fallen angels who deliberately violated God's order on earth. The second interpretation is the Sethite lineage. Proposed by theologians like Augustine, it offers a purely human explanation. In this view, the sons of God are the descendants of the pious line of Seth, Adam's third son. The daughters of men, in turn, would be the descendants of the ungodly line of Cain. The sin here would not be a supernatural union, but the failure of the sacred lineage to keep itself separate from the world, mingling with the corruption of Cain's line. This transforms the story into an allegory about the importance of holiness and separation. But the problem with this theory is that it doesn't quite explain the consequence. Why would the union of two human lineages, no matter how different in their faith, result in giants and men of renown? The explanation feels too mild for God's extreme reaction, a global flood. Finally, there is the third view, that of the tyrant kings. Some scholars suggest that sons of God was a common title for kings and nobles in the ancient Near East, who often claimed divine descent to legitimize their power. In this interpretation, the passage describes powerful despots who, through force, created harems, taking wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Their children would be a warrior elite, the mighty men who filled the earth with violence. This view explains the social corruption, but like the Sethite theory, it weakens the extraordinary element the text seems to emphasize. Why use such charged language to describe something so common in human history? The investigation deepens when we look at the word itself, Nephilim. The Hebrew root of the word is naphal, which means to fall. Therefore, Nephilim can be translated as the fallen ones or those who cause others to fall. The name itself carries a weight, a history. It echoes the fallen angel interpretation, suggesting these beings were the result of a celestial fall. But the true twist in the story of the Nephilim lies not in their past, but in their future. The Genesis text says they existed in those days and also afterward. After what? After the flood. This seems impossible. The flood was an event of total extinction, save for Noah and his family on the ark. How could the Nephilim have survived? The answer, or at least an echo of them, appears hundreds of years later in the book of Numbers. When Moses sends 12 spies into the land of Canaan, they return terrified. In Numbers 13:33, they report, "And there we saw the giants. The descendants of Anak came from the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." The Hebrew text uses exactly the same word, Nephilim. This opens a Pandora's box of possibilities.
Were the spies merely exaggerating, using a legendary term to describe frighteningly tall men? It's a plausible explanation. Fear can create monsters. Or did the transgression of Genesis 6 happen again on a smaller scale after the flood? Some ancient non-canonical texts suggest just that. Or perhaps the most subtle explanation: the Nephilim genetics survived the flood. The Bible details the lineage of Noah and his sons, but not that of their wives. Could one of Noah's daughters-in-law have carried this lineage in her blood, only for it to re-emerge generations later? This reappearance connects the Nephilim to other giant races mentioned in the Bible, like the Anakim, the Raphaim, and the Emim. Suddenly, the giant Goliath, defeated by David, is not just a very tall man. He is described as a descendant of the Raphaim from Gath. He becomes a distant echo, a remnant of that first corrupted world, a last vestige of the mighty men of old. Israel's fight for the Promised Land becomes in part a struggle to purge the land of the last traces of this ancient corruption. In the end, we have no definitive answer. The identity of the Nephilim remains one of the Bible's greatest mysteries, and perhaps that is the point. The story isn't there to give us a field guide to mythological creatures. It's there as a warning. Whichever interpretation you choose, fallen angels, mingled bloodlines, or tyrannical kings, the central message is the same. The story of the Nephilim is a story of violated boundaries, the boundary between heaven and earth, between the sacred and the profane, between divine order and human chaos. Their existence represented a corruption so fundamental, a distortion of creation so profound, that the only solution was a radical reset. We may never know for certain who or what they were, but their presence in the biblical text forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth, that there was a time when the world was so broken, so irredeemably lost, that God chose to submerge it in order to save it. The Nephilim are the symbol of that brokenness. They are the scar on the memory of humanity, a somber reminder of the world that was before the rain. Many of the oldest traditions about the sons of God as fallen angels come not just from interpretations of canonical texts, but from an ancient and mysterious book, one read by many early Christians, but which was ultimately left out of most Bibles. A book that delves into this mystery with astonishing detail. On our next episode, we will investigate the history and contents of the Book of Enoch and ask the question, why was it removed from the Bible?